have to take my breath. And pyramids can be very useful to a lot of today problems in the world, like the problems we meet in the garden and agriculture, for plant growth, for food preservation, but also to produce electricity, or even to clean up the waste of our today electricity production, like nuclear waste. Pyramids can help with that.
We did it today. Thank you and a good night.
So hi, I'm Yannick van Doorne. I'm coming from Belgium and I'm living in France for the moment. So now I will talk about pyramid technology. It's a very old knowledge, like we all know. We have seen already the pyramids or in live or pictures of it in Egypt and in a lot of other countries. And a moment, I have to take my breath. And pyramids can be very useful to a lot of today problems in the world, like the problems we meet in the garden and agriculture, for plant growth, for food preservation, but also to produce electricity, or even to clean up the waste of our today electricity production, like nuclear waste. Pyramids can help with that. So I will go to a little further details and examples all over the presentation. So what makes me or what awakens my curiosity about pyramids, it's one of the key points was that I met a woman in the US. She is called Mary Hardy, and she had written books also about pyramids. Pyramid Power, it's one of the best books about that subject. And she has even built a pyramid in her garden, and she do every year a pyramid happening too. And she told me about a crop circle. And you see here the crop circle. It's a crop circle that was here in, I think, close to Avebury. I don't know where it is, but it's here in England. And you see there are like two pyramids there inside. And she told me, that's a crop circle for you. And she didn't know me really well because I met her only one time, a few hours the year before. And that was only the second time I met her. And what she didn't know is that that crop circle appeared the same day as my birthday, the 28th May. So I was then thinking, whoa, there's something. And it's interesting, the environment too. You have three bushes like this here, or like maybe three trees. You have a lot of circles. I don't know what that all mean, but it awakens a lot my curiosity. And I was already doing some experiments about pyramids, and I had already very interesting results in the garden, and so it awakens really a lot more my curiosity. And she was telling it's maybe a kind of tool to transform energy around us that is negative again in positive, and to work with coils and crystals maybe. I have a lot of inspiration from that crop circle. Another amazing pyramid fact is that, an example, the pyramids in Egypt were built, the three big ones were built in coherent with the star map, with the three stars you find in the Orion. So that's very interesting. And you find that also with the towers in Ireland. There are towers all over Ireland. They also put like the star map in Ireland. And yeah, it's built 1,000 years ago. We don't know when exactly. There are people telling 2,000-3,000 years. I think it's more 10,000 years or even more before Christ. And it's also in relation with the resonance frequencies. We talked about it yesterday with the 432 Hertz, the importance of tuning with the A at 432 Hertz. Well, at the level on the water level, you have 432 royal cubits length of the pyramid. Yeah. Do some people from you don't know what is 432 Hertz or never heard about it? Yeah. I will show you at the end. So other pyramid facts: when you put like an egg, you open an egg in a little plate and you put that plate in a pyramid, you will see that the egg will not rotten. It stays good, and it would dehydrate and become like stone. You see, it would dehydrate, it would become hard, and if you want to eat it again, you just put the moisture hotter on it and you can eat it again even 6 months later. If you put the same egg away of the pyramid, it would rotten after, even in the shell. After a few months it's what. So that's also an amazing energy we have in pyramids. So imagine that in place of your fridge that consumes a lot of electricity, now all food storage, it's with fridges and things like that. Imagine that you have like a box that acts with pyramid energy, and you can put everything in it, even if it's hot, if it's warm, if it's cold, doesn't matter, it stays good. And you don't use electricity. Other experiments, another key point that makes me awaken about pyramids is the existence. And my research, I discovered that there was one guy that already did a lot of experiments about pyramids in the 70s, and he had a company, Electroculture Pyramid Company, and it was in 1976. That's very interesting because that's the year of my birth too. And he did experiments on seeds that germinate faster, also on plants. He made little pyramids that you put in your plants, in your apartment, or just close to them, and to make them grow. And he also informed a local university about what he was doing of research, and that was in Guelph. And that was very amazing because the year I discovered that, I was invited to do a conference in Guelph at the university about electroculture. But at that time I didn't know so much, and it was on 20 January 2011. So an example of one of my first experiments, I made a little pyramid like this in copper rods, and I've put that, when I moved to a new home, there was like a rose plant, and it was like dying, and I've put the pyramid above it, or no, I just put it close to it with one corner to the rose plant, and the rose plant began again to live and to make new leaves and to make new flowers. So that was very interesting. Another experiment was on lamp salad in the winter time, and you saw here, you have the rods of the pyramid. The lamp salad in the energy field of the pyramid, it grows a lot better than the one out of that energy field. And so that's experiments everybody can do in his garden. Huh? So if you do it, you have to be, when you construct a pyramid, I advise to always use the same material. If you make it in wood, make it complete in wood. If you make it in plaster, make it complete in plaster. If you make it in copper, make it complete in copper. The most important is that you have the skeleton in one material. Then what you put inside and so on is I think less important. But the skeleton creates like an antenna, like I think like a 3 or 4 dimensional antenna. It's not like our classic antennas that you put, if you have to take the radio or certain Hertzian waves, you have to orient it. Well, a pyramid you have also to orient, but the antenna itself is have a 3-dimensional shape. It's not an antenna with 2 dimensions, you see. So there's something more. And it's related with the magnetic field of the Earth, because to make it active you have to put one side in front of the north or the other magnetic directions. So the sizes, an example, if you have 10 meter size, the edge would be 95 centimeter. I can give you the sizes in inches too and feet if you want afterwards, but that gives you an idea. So the sizes, if one side is 1 meter, you take the edge 95 centimeter, and you can multiply it as much as you want. If you make 2 meter, then you multiply 95 by 2, and so you just have to cut the wide sizes of the stamps or the rods or the tubes you want to make the pyramid in, and then you have just to assemble. It's as easy as that. And then you are directly at the right angle, because one side of the pyramid would be at the angle of 51 degrees. So 51 degrees, 51 minutes. So even if it's half a degree different or 1 degree different, you would have also the energy. It has not to be so precise. If it's 1 degree precise, it's okay. But if you can be exact at 51, you would have the best results, I think. There are other pyramids built in the world, and new pyramids built in Russia, and they take another size. If you have 1 meter side, you have the height, it's then 2.02 meters. So around 2 meters, you see. And that's another side. So when one side is 1 meter, then the height is 2.02, and the edge, it's then 2.14 centimeters. So you can take that as proportion. So if one side is 1 meter, you take the edge 2.14 centimeters. And that side, I did also experiments with it when it was like stormy weather and raining, and I put like a pyramid like this in wood in my garden, and as long as the clouds were coming over my home or the pyramid, the clouds were like disappearing, and after it was all blue sky. I can show you, I have a video out of it. So you can even change the weather if you want, or influence the weather, or against chemtrails too. It works very well. Maybe you would have some helicopters going to around you to see what happens, because maybe they see an energetic field in their radar system, and they maybe don't like that, or they are curious to see what happens. But you don't have to care about that. They don't do any harm. Another experiment, that's from Charles Hubbard in New Brunswick in Canada. He do already experiments with pyramids since a couple of decades, years, and he makes like this pyramids in wood, in a wooden structure, skeleton, and then he put a copper wire along the pyramids, and that has the same effect. So it's maybe cheaper than use copper tubing. If you want to make big pyramids, you make it a structure in wood, and then you just put copper wire along the wall wooden structure. Because it seems that when you use copper wire or copper, the pyramid effect is even greater, increased, than if you use just only the wood. But that's also part of the speculation. We maybe don't have enough knowledge to and exercise experiments to be sure of it. But it seems that my best experiments were always in copper, with a pyramid in copper. So you can build that in your garden, and then you let your pyramid stay in your garden. It works very well. So that's the sizes in feet and inches. If you want, I can send you that by email if you need. You can find that on internet. Activation, so like I told, it's very important to put really with one side to the north, really the magnetic north. We have checked this out with a system of Harry Oldfield that measures energy, or that can see live energy. And while I was turning the pyramid, you saw that it activates the energy field all around when it's white at on the good orientation. So it has a huge difference. Now, even if it's not white on the good orientation, you would have energy, but a lot less. It's like you amplify it maybe 10, 100 times if it's in the white orientation. And then there's another fact. If you put the pyramid at the white spot, you have like maybe energetic points or lines or sources that you maybe not see, but you have different energies on Earth, and there would be spots where you have also a lot more energy. It can also increase a lot the energetic capacity of the pyramid and the effect all around. But even if you just put it anywhere, it would have also a lot of energy, you can believe me. So another experiment I did, I put potato plants just at a high that I was close by, like in the King's Chamber, on the pyramid. And then I planted the plants, and you see here the first, from the treated ones was already coming out of the soil, while the control group were still in the soil. They didn't come out as soon. So you see here again, maybe, it's again the same picture here. Here you see it better. That's the control group, and you see here, that's the one that were coming out of the pyramid. So I've just put those potato plants like 2 days in the pyramid. It was enough to have that effect. An example, here you see it better. That were the control group, and that's the potatoes from under the pyramid. You see the difference? That's kind of energy you have with the pyramid. Yeah. It's not always like that, but for one of my first experiments, it encourages me to go further. and so the guy in New Brunswick, he has a pyramid greenhouse. I will show you, that's maybe a little later. And he has also put potatoes. That's again in my garden. You see the little plants control group, and that's the plants that coming out of the pyramid. At the bases there were the same potato plants. So imagine that you put all your seeds you grow in your garden, you put them all under the pyramid a few days before you grow them. And imagine that maybe in Africa there were big pyramid structures that they preserve all their seeds each year in the pyramid before growing them outside. So that's another pyramid I made. That's a pyramid I made. There was aluminum tubes and copper tubes. It didn't work. So that's interesting to know. and it was inside too. Maybe it has also an influence, but I think when you use different, is by experience, that's why I tell it, when you use different materials, that's not good. I think it influences the energy field, or it creates like a kind of shortcut or something, or it don't work as well. It's like you would make an antenna in different materials. I think it's not so good. So now I make big pyramids like this in copper tubing. You just have to need the angles that you can also make yourself. But as soon as you have the angles that are welded together, you can just buy the copper tubing and cut them at the right size and put them all together, and then you have a big, and then you can go under it to meditate or to put your seeds or to do what you want with it. You can put it again in pieces and go somewhere else with it, or go in nature with it. You can do whatever you want. That's my cat, my dog. And that's the electricity box for the home. But I will talk relation electricity and pyramids afterwards. So the energy in the pyramid, that's just a speculation, but what we see is that there's more energy in the corners. If you want to heal plants, things like that, you can just put a little pyramid with a corner to the plant. You will see it helps. You have a lot more energy. The guy in New Brunswick that has grown potato plants all the whole life cycle under a pyramid, he yielded like I imagine normally you have like 5 potatoes yield for each potato plant. That's the average. Imagine how much potatoes he has until 2 years ago, his maximum. Imagine at the corners. 10, 20, 30? No, 40. That was the minimum. 40 potatoes on one plant. So, and the maximum until 2 years ago was 80 potatoes for one plant. That were the potatoes grown at the corners. That was 80 potatoes on one plant. So imagine you have 4 plants, you have 4 corners. So 4 plants with 80 potatoes, that's like 320 potatoes. So in 1 year, you can almost eat 1 potato a day. And a few days without potato, it's also good. But it's really amazing. And last year, imagine how much, in the summer of 2011, he had 137 potatoes on one plant. So imagine you have 2 plants like this, you can eat a potato a day. And there were big potatoes, not just little ones, big ones. So that's an experiment of I think the 60s or the 70s, where they have put like a Tesla coil inside the pyramid, and then you see like a vortex forming above the pyramid. That's very interesting. Yeah. So that's a plaster pyramid I make. You have here, I will show you the energy field around it afterwards. So that's a plaster pyramid you can use to put in your home to increase the good energies in your home, or you can put it even outside, or even dig it in the earth if you don't want that somebody see it. You can even dig it under antennas from a microwave, or from radar system, or from for the portable or things like that, to increase the good energies, or to transform the bad organ energy in positive energies. So it can change the world. So now we have put the flower of life on it too. It has also a very beneficial effect. And we put also crystals inside. Like you have orgonites with resins, but I don't like artificial resins. It's very toxic. And I want to work with natural products. And so, it looks that it's even a lot more powerful. I believe that with all what I saw and the experiments I've done here, you have really a very powerful instrument. And it's also very nice to look at. Even people that don't believe it, that just find it a very nice artistic object. It's very nice to look at and to put on a shelf or on your desk. And at the same time, it will increase the beneficial energies. We have seen that researchers, you have like Flavio Thomas, I think, in Germany, that did research about pyramids and electricity. In the beginning, he wanted to patent it and everything, and there happened so much things in his life that now he is for freedom, and it changes when you are close with pyramids. It will change your way of thinking, your feelings, everything. When somebody go in a pyramid, instantly his alpha waves increase in his brain. That's something that was measured. You would become instantly more relaxed, even if you are stressed, even if you don't believe in it. It's a physiological effect, or a physiological reaction or action of your body in relation to the pyramid. That's an example of the energy field. Here you see just a box, normal, and you see like kind of energy field that is there. And when you put the pyramid, you see that's very good energy. When it's like more lighter colors, like that orange, that light, and the pyramid itself very white. You see, it's not because it's plaster, because it was in the dark. It was in a dark room, or a very not so much light room. And you see, it's like completely light, and above too, you see. And what is interesting is that also the ground here, it's like more blue, a little bit red. It becomes all red. That's also part of that energy. It's like it feeds, and it's like also the light or the energy from the sky come closer to the earth. It's like direct contact. That in between, otherwise you have like a lot of other layers that prevented, that isolated it. That's very interesting. And what we have seen too is that's me here, and you see the different layers of our energy field. It's not just in books, it's a reality, because that's just the light that we see that is decomposed with kind of computer programs. And you see, huh? And what is interesting is that it's in resonance or in relation with our consciousness. When I went away, the energy field was a little more less. And when I came close to the pyramid, the energy field was a lot bigger. So it's not just an object like this, it would have also a lot more effect if you have if there is a consciousness going close to it, or maybe if we work also with a conscious intent to do something. So that's an idea, but there's definitely something going on. And we see those experiments, that's from the book, or from the writings from Grebenikov. That's a researcher from Russia that died in 2003, I think. And he did research about anti-gravity and insects and so on. And he called it the cavity structure effect. As soon as you create a form or a cavity, the vacuum, but in a certain shape, you have a kind of energy. And it's an energy that you can even influence with your hands. You could like make the pyramid moving just by the energy coming out of your hands. Everybody has that energy coming out of his hands. There are people that has more than others, but everybody has that. And what I found interesting is that image. That's from hieroglyphs that you find in Egypt. And you see a lot of hieroglyphs where they are walking or they are staying with like pyramids. That's like the pyramids in Russia that they built very more high, like this in their hands. And I've seen this too here. When you put the pyramid like this in your hand, the energy field is really increased. I think so. And you see, that's the roof, or the ceiling. You see, there's like energy building up. You see, even in the ceiling, and you see the energy like this, you see, all around, and here, and you see me, you have energy, and it goes up like this. You see, it's in relation with the pyramid, and here I'm really a lot of light. When I was not with the pyramid, or when I came there, I was more in the colors like more dark red or more black because I was stressed and so on. And there I was really very energized, you see. And that's the same pyramid that was with this pyramid. Yeah. So another example, that's just a gardener. That's a picture I've took of that pyramid. I know that he sent it me, and you see there's a really white light there. I think it's not a coincidence or an effect of his. I think that there is something. It creates like a special energy field. There are things really strange happening around pyramids. That's a wooden structure with a copper wire all around, you see. That's the most easy way to do it. That's another example. That's from the book of Les Brown. That was a researcher about pyramids in the 70s. And he advises, he did a book about this to spread the word in a way, to advise to the people to grow their food in pyramids and to make little pyramids in their garden, because he was telling everywhere that with a pyramid of 4 square meters, so it's like how it's the 2 meter by 2 meters. So it's in feet. It's like 6 feet by 6 feet around. You could grow enough food for you for a whole year. Yes, imagine you have 2 potatoes with 137 potatoes. You have tomato plants that grow like mad. You have peas. You can grow a lot of things that grow. It don't stop growing, and when it stops, you plant again, and it becomes bigger and bigger. So, and it's also more resistance against pests. You almost no have pests in a pyramid, against insects too. I don't want to think about it like against. No, it's just a part of a kind of balance. And when you have good energy, they don't appear. They don't create a problem. You see. That's again on peace. You see, control group the piece from the pyramid. You see. Again here. That was on geranium plants. He just put 2 cuttings from one mother plant, one he put in the pyramid and one he put outside the pyramid, and you see the difference in growth. The geranium plants grow from cuttings of the same parent plant. The plant on the right was pyramid grown, that on the left served as the control. And that is Les Brown, the research. He is really amazing. That's the little greenhouse in New Brunswick. That's 4 meter on 4 meter, and that's where he grew the potato plants all around with those fantastic results. So it's a greenhouse, very easy to make. It's all off the shelf materials, all materials that you can find in second hand. That's just copper tubing. And then inside the pyramid he built in copper tubing, he built a greenhouse. But even you can take a plastic greenhouse, whatever. If it's inside the pyramid, it's okay. You don't and make a pyramid like this. It's not so difficult. It's very easy. That's another experiment that was in my garden with cabbages. That was a few years ago, and I had a lot of slugs. You see, and here that cabbage was more little than the 2 others, and I've put a pyramid around it, and then that cabbage was bigger than the 2 others. And after a few weeks, it's very you can see very rapidly the effects. That's another example. That's from the book of I think Patrick Flanagan, I think. And he did also a lot of research and electronic research on pyramids. And he made like boards with all little pyramids. And with Kirlian photography, you see also the energy like this. And when you put like eggs, you see, on that board you have the same effect as if you put it inside the pyramid. So imagine you have a fridge, but it's not a fridge, it's just all shelves with all boards like this, and you put your food in it and it stays good. So that's the idea. Imagine there is no electricity anymore. What will you do with everything that is inside your fridge and in your that is freezed? Even meat, it would dehydrate and it stays good. So people thinks that maybe it's not good that the food will mummify, but I think mummifying is just that it dehydrates. The energy is increased, the life energy is increased, and in certain mythology they say the pyramid, it's the energy of fire, and it's also, you can see tell like a kind of life energy. And I think it's just that the life energy is increased. It's like famous spirituals, when they die, they don't disappear, they stay like fresh forever. Or in there are some priests like that and things like that. So that's interesting. I think it's about energy, and so when the energy is good, yes, it will dehydrate. The water will just simply evaporate, but it stays in that kind of energy. That's another kind of pyramid that a friend built it with. That was just with iron rods. Very strange, like a Star of David, and then with all points like this. And I can tell you here, I never felt so much energy on my hand than when I've put my hand there. Really, that was very powerful. So you can make different shapes. It's not only the pyramid shape. Here it's also kind of pyramid or cone, you see. You have triangles. You see, it's very, there is a strange kind of energy. So that's the pyramids built in Russia. You have also other ones. In Russia, they have built a lot of pyramids the last decades and last years. And it changes definitely the energy. An example here to that pyramid, that's a car, you see, and that's people walking. You see how huge it is. And there are people coming with buses full of people, and a lot of old people that want to gain again their health, and our questions at the end, gain again their health and so on. And they stay there for a while and then they go away. They have done experiments with rocks. They've put rocks in the pyramid. I saw a video of this in the pyramid, and then they put the rocks in the fields. And the fields where they had the rocks out of the pyramid, there was 20 to 100% increase in yield. Just there's a kind of energy that it's like stored in those rocks. So imagine you put all your fertilizers, products in the pyramid before you spread them on your land. It will spread that kind of energy.
71 degrees.
Yes, I have the plan. That was before I showed the plan of this. Yeah. In the beginning, I didn't know the measurement, and I just look at the photo and I calculate it, and I take my tools to measure the angles and everything, and I built like this my first pyramid in the garden, and I observe just the effects around. So I invite you to do that too. When there is something nice, just try for yourself and see what happens, if it works, not, and what you observe, and learn out of it. Otherwise it's useless. If you just learn things that you cannot use or that you not understand, it's useless. So here you have pyramids like in Africa you found, That's very old structures, and also, and it looks like that now they say it's like tombs. I don't believe that. I think it looks like it's like a place where maybe they preserve their seeds each year, maybe, you see, like a barn, you see, because it was not, it was like in villages or in the center of the village or things like that, so it's very possible that it was like a barn. There is a guy in France that has made like a wine cellar in the form of a pyramid too, I think. And in Georgia there are also old wine cellars in those forms. So it's very interesting. If you put a wine, very cheap wine with not much taste, you put that in a pyramid, it would be a lot better. And you can put like this a lot of kind of food and have a lot better quality of the food. Yeah.
Take a small
Oh, sorry.
I've got one here that I can
So, oh, sorry.
take a
I will show you a little video now about electricity. Pyramid you can also use to produce electricity. There are people that has create like circuits or invented or by their intuition, like Les Brown, circuits you put in the pyramid, and it harness like that kind of subtle energy, and it transform it in electricity. An example, when you put a crystal in a pyramid, it's a lot more active. That's why I think also this pyramid is so active, because I've put a quartz crystal inside and a lot of other crystals too. So and a crystal, it's very interesting. Yeah. So we will listen. It's like a few minutes about an experiment from Les Brown. Very easy experiment. We will see if we hear it enough, if the quality is good enough of the sound, because moment.
take a small crystal.
Oh, here.
Got one.
This, yeah.
Now, if you can imagine the 30-foot pyramid I had, knowing that it contained energy and it's free-flowing, it's always coming in and now it's not stop. I said, well, why can't I harness this? Little crystals will do it. Why can't I harness a pyramid? So I made myself, I'll just go to the blackboard there and give you an idea what I'm talking about. I made myself 2 coils. One was just a small one like this, and it was electric coil, counterclockwise. And I hung that in the top of the pyramid. But before I did that, it was stove wire, and there's about 8 strands of copper wire and stove wire. And I undid them and made them into a lot of fingers like this, spread them out, something like an antenna. And this end here, I just hung it up, fastened it onto the beams, and it was right in the peak. Now I went downstairs, and I had a spare piece of plywood, quarter ply, and I made a magnetic coil with old antenna wire. It was double wire. And I put one end straight through into the earth, so looking at it like this, it stuck through there, and my coil is on here like that. And the other end I left standing up to connect. One's into the earth. Now all this wire here is only quarter ply, and I used 2-inch staples. Stapled it straight through the ply and gave me a better ground. This was also ground in the centre. Now, there are many things that have happened to me in my time that I can't really explain. There are many things that I have known, but don't know how I know. And this is one instance where this happened to me. I knew I had to connect these 2 together with some natural wool, sheep's wool. Nylon was not what I wanted. And so I got hold of some ordinary wool, and I measured it out. Up the stairs go right to the top. I measured it out so it hung from here to within 6 inches of the floor. Plenty to fasten to that and to fasten to this. Now I stood on some steps up there and fastened that to there, just wrapped around, tied it around. Simple, nothing clever about it, just fastened it to this copper wire. And I hung this down through the steps, through the stairway, until it was hanging down, but it wasn't touching the floor. I went downstairs to connect this to that, and as I caught hold of that, it threw me 20 feet across the floor. I'm 180 pounds, and it picked me up and threw me 20 feet across the floor. I got no skin on this elbow here and all down the leg here. I lay there for about 5 minutes at least, wondering what happened to me. All I had done was touched a piece of wool. Now, this wool had gone through, it wasn't even connected to this, it had gone through my cube root of the pyramid, which was about here, and up to the point, the second magnitude there, and that part was connected. And when I touched that, I grounded the whole damn thing, and it threw me 20 feet across the floor. I don't know what had happened to me, and the result of it was, I took the whole thing to pieces. I still have the parts. You can have them if you want them. And I realised that I was fooling around with something I didn't really understand.
So that's very interesting. So there is a guy now, a German-speaking guy, Flavio Thomas Traeger is his name. You can find on internet, and he has made a little more complicated electronic circuit with quartz sand, some seawater and corals that you can just with a copper wire around some tubing that he put in the pyramid, and he makes like a little electric motor running just continuously. And he is now not the only one, because he gave it all for free. He explained to the people how to do it. He made a tutorial, and on YouTube you can find it. And there are already other people that has succeeded to copy it and to reproduce it. So it's very possible to do it. There are also a lot of patents and research about pyramid energy, how to do electricity. You can also inspire you from that anymore. Because otherwise we will be with that for thousands of years. And I think the pyramid can be one of the solutions. There was already research with high energy or high frequency waves on radioactive waste that decreased a lot their decay time, or that it transformed in non-harmful harmful waste. And I know a guy in France, a friend, it's Jérôme Boujon, and he has also done some experiments with radioactive waste, and he has checked this, and it works. And it was even not a pyramid in solid structure, it was only a light pyramid. You can do also a light pyramid with a crystal, a light that projects the lights in the right angles on the soil, and if you go in there you have also that kind of energy. So it's very interesting. And here that's an example of the circuits from Flavio Thomas. So you see it's just plastic tubing, copper wire, here little ventilator, and that little ventilator, it works